Ask anyone where they were when they first heard about the COVID pandemic, and they'll likely have a story for you.
Yeah, WMTV's Nicole Herzog brings us one of those stories and the lessons learned from medical leaders here in Madison as we look back on 5 years since the pandemic was declared a national emergency.
On this day 5 years ago, President Trump declared the virus a national emergency, and Wisconsin schools were preparing to close down for what they thought would only be a few weeks. Looking back, health officials say there's a lot we can learn.
President Trump is declaring the novel coronavirus a national emergency.
Back in 2020, Dr. Jeff Potoff with UW Health didn't realize just how much the COVID-19 pandemic would impact his life.
It's the first thing I remember. I think we had the kids at Disney.
And the world around him.
Like there was this novel coronavirus in China. No one really knew anything about it. Didn't even know that we needed to be worried about it at that point.
5 years later, he says the pandemic taught us all some valuable lessons.
People, like when they get a cold or something, I think they actually think about it for a second, and maybe they take a COVID test or they try taking an influenza test, or they think about like, what's the implications of me going to work if I do this?
One of the lingering issues medical professionals say they're still fighting: hesitancy when it comes to vaccines.
The fact remains that we have a lower vaccination rate. We lose herd immunity from these diseases that most of these folks have never even heard of or experienced. Measles we're seeing a little bit of.
Morgan Finke with Public Health Madison and Dane County says while measles isn't a new problem, it's something officials are keeping an eye on as cases rise in other parts of the country.
Seeing some of the increases in cases correlating with a decrease in vaccinations, it's just sharing that information.
Looking towards the future, Potoff says he hopes to see people remember these lessons.
It is a team sport, group effort, and the decisions that I make don't just affect me, they affect you and they affect everyone else. So we actually have to function as a team if we're going to successfully overcome the next pandemic.
Data from PHMDC shows the number of people in the emergency room with COVID, flu, RSV, and all respiratory illnesses are all at low levels for the first time in 3 months. For now in the newsroom, Nicole Herzog, WMTV 15 News.